January 15th City Council meeting to order.
Councilmember Deems.
Here.
Councilmember Howe.
Present.
Councilmember Hyman.
Present.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
Vice Mayor Riffle.
Here.
Mayor Malpajoe.
Here.
This evening we have our prayer and pledge by our Vice Mayor.
We bow our heads. Dear Father, we come to you to ask for your guidance as we lead our city. We want you to look over our city, our citizen, the leaders, and everybody, and keep everybody safe during conditions in the snow and the weather. And in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to deviate from the agenda for just a minute here. We have a couple proclamations this evening. Our mayor has a proclamation for Hope Inc. And she's done, man. She can stay there because Councilmember Howe has one as well.
Okay. Proclamation. Whereas human trafficking is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, and obtaining of a person for labor or services throughout the use of force, fraud, coercion for the purpose of forced labor and sexual servitude. And whereas human trafficking is a $150 billion a year global crime enterprise and is a crime as well as a civil and human rights violation. Whereas the United States government estimates that 24.9 million individuals are trafficked across international borders each year and exploited through forced labor, forced commercial sexual activity. And whereas Human Trafficking Awareness Day is observed on January 11th across the country in order to educate the public and raise awareness about human trafficking. Now therefore, I, James L. Malpajoe, Mayor of the City of Clarksburg, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2026 Human Trafficking Prevention Month in the City of Clarksburg and applaud the efforts of victim service providers, police officers, prosecutors, national and community organizations, and private sector supporters for their efforts on promoting awareness concerning human trafficking.
Thank you.
You are welcome. We got another one coming too, so.
I guess just I'll say something after that one. That works.
You can set it right there.
All right, here's a proclamation. Whereas, under the laws of all 50 states, the U.S. territories, and the District of Columbia, and the federal government, stalking is a crime and is defined as a course of action or pattern of behaviors at another person with the intent to cause the other person to fear for his or her personal safety, the safety of others, or suffer substantial emotional distress. And whereas 13.5 million people were stalked in a one-year period in the United States, and the majority of victims are stalked by someone they know. And whereas laws and public policies must be continually adapted to keep up with new tactics used by stalkers. And whereas communities can better combat stalking by adopting multidisciplinary responses by teams of local agencies and organizations and by providing more and better victim services. And whereas Hope Incorporated recognizes the need for greater public awareness about the nature, criminality, and potential lethality of stalking. And whereas Hope Incorporated is joining forces with victim service providers, criminal justice officials, and concerned citizens throughout our community and the United States to observe National Stalking Awareness Month. Now, therefore, I, Martin Howe, on behalf of James L. Malpajoe, Mayor of the City of Clarksburg, do hereby proclaim January 2026 as Stalking Awareness Month in the City of Clarksburg in conjunction with the National Stalking Awareness Month, and applaud the efforts of victim service providers, police officers, prosecutors, national and community organizations, and private sector supporters for their efforts on promoting awareness concerning stalking. In witness whereof, I have hereunto James Malford has set his hand and have caused the official seal of the city of Clarksburg to be affixed hereto this 15th day of January 2026, signed the mayor and attested by the city clerk in that rank.
I just had a couple different handouts that I was just gonna leave on the table for anybody after this was all over, if they would wanna look at it. There's a small handbook that is about different, stalking facts and what you can look out for and help and everything for, stalking victims. And then there's a couple handouts that are regarding human trafficking. So if anybody knows anybody who needs assistance with stalking or human trafficking, or they believe that something like that may be going on, feel free to give them our number. We serve 5 different counties, Harrison being one of them. So
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
thank you guys.
You're welcome.
And I will leave you the handouts just on the table over there.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Approval of the minutes of special session of December 17th, 2025.
Madam Clerk, I move we approve the special session minutes of December 17th, 2025.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Approval of the conference work session of December 17th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Petitions, communications, and public hearings. Tim Sharp and Marcia Biglianco wishes to address council concerning the electric panel boxes.
Hello, everybody. The panel boxes are in terrible bad condition, and he's going to explain some things to you.
Yeah, this is a reference to the 13 load centers that are used for the festivals, anything the city does that they need electric for. And they're really over 20 years old, but we're showing 18 years old, over 10 years past the replacement times. And the main feeders are dry rotted and beyond repair. So basically to replace the main feeders, you're looking roughly at material of $9,000 and the labor about $8,400, so you're stuck at $17,400. Now, the city can buy some material at a state contract, so it'll be a lot cheaper buying the material. This is just an estimate for your budgets. Depending on the conditioning of the main lugs of the panels, we can reduce the labor up to $6,000. To build 4 load centers a year to try to replace the 13 with material and labor would be roughly $18,416. But with the city, again, the city purchasing power could be a whole lot less than that, but that's just for budgeting. Okay, now being that these load centers are used by several groups in the city, they could last another 20 years after they're redone. And currently, the Italian Festival has been doing the repairs. The last year's material alone was over $4,000 last year. And the total cost to replace all 13, if you had to rebuild them all, would be around $84,212. That's just the panels that are used for all the festivals and the get-togethers and whatever they're doing for power. That's in the grid, and that's not including the stuff that's in the city in the sidewalks that the city takes care of. But all that grid is getting aged. They've just been band-aiding what we can, fixing what we can. So they're just up here to try to get some kind of a budget in there to get something repaired.
And then also the festival, because of last year's regulations with the fire marshal, where we have to have 10 feet on either side, pretty much of any food vendor, we've run out of space because a lot of it this year, you saw tables and chairs, which was a pleasant, nice addition. But I've got 2 food vendors that are local restaurants that are probably coming back this year. So that's another 80 feet that I would need for them. And we got to move up that way. And there isn't any electricity up there that we really can use for anybody other than to plug in lights. I know that we've applied for a grant that we're hoping to get, and 5,000 of it is to go towards electricity. But that's a grant, we haven't got it yet, but that's part of it because we know that we either, it gets either smaller or we move on up the street to at least the Board of
Let
Education.
me ask a question. Why would you move the food vendors up that way?
No, I'm not moving food vendors. Food vendors would go where they're at now, but whoever was there is going to go on up the street. That's, so I know that we need more room.
Just to clarify, Marcia, these are the property of the city, correct?
Pardon?
Are they the cities? Are they the property of the cities?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Oh, you mean the panels, the load centers? Yes, they're all the property of the city.
Okay,
The city originally, about 20 years ago, the city paid to have them built.
okay,
And they store them and everything.
gotcha.
But we've been doing the repair work on them.
Interesting.
And it's now they've told me the last 2 years, you can't just keep piecing this together. And last year was over $4,000 that we spent just in parts. Not what he charged, just
The
the
city?
parts.
City tells you this? The public works?
No,
or who is-
this
They
is
end
what
up
we had to
Oh, I
pay.
understand, okay.
He
No,
calls
no.
over and says, go get this stuff, and you go get it, and you get a bill. What was over $4,000 by the time the festival started to get those things up and running again.
Yeah, over the years, it just somehow, it ended up being that the festival was paying for the city's panels. So basically, several entities use them,
Mhm.
but the only person basically paying for anything to use them is the Italian festival.
Thank you.
It just
Because
somehow
of the
got,
repairs, correct?
Yeah.
Because of the repairs.
yes, sir.
Yeah. And we're the biggest user of them also, so.
I think the whole system is inefficient. I think built-in, more permanent locations in the sidewalk, whenever we finally do repair the sidewalks, makes more sense. Or Public Works doesn't have to bring these load boxes out. I mean, because we want to have more events down at First Friday, the Black Harvest Festival. I mean, it's very inefficient route to bring them all the way out. It's just, we need a new system.
Yeah. But we
That's what I hope. I mean, but that may mean we might need a Band-Aid to get it to pass to where we get new sidewalks downtown to have that infrastructure put in.
Right, the infrastructure right now that's in the sidewalk is in pretty good condition. Like I said, we have burndies that we splice everything on with. And we've been discussing over the years what we can do to try to make them last longer. But the wiring in there is still pretty good shape. But like I say, the connectors, they go bad because of the salts, the different things underground. So basically, it's still working out pretty good, but it needs to be addressed, cleaned up, respliced, clean and insulated, and then also oxyband to try to keep the elements off of it.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Lisa Sutton, 606 Emily Drive, wishes to address council concerning hotel occupancy tax proceeds.
Thank you. Good evening. So as Annette said, I'm Lisa Sutton. I am Director of Sales and Marketing for S&B Investments here locally doing business at Hilton Garden Inn. And my topic is regarding the distribution of hotel occupancy tax funds. Everyone has probably already received their full copy of our letter as well as the hotel occupancy tax statutes. So I don't think you guys need me to read that in 4.5 minutes. I will just kind of go over a few bullet points regarding that. Of the 6% hotel occupancy tax we collect and submit to the city of Clarksburg, half are then distributed by the city to the Clarksburg Visitors Bureau. By statute, provided that the CVB satisfies the requirements stated within Code 7- West Virginia Code 7-18-13. The Clarksburg Visitors Bureau has not been eligible to collect any portion of hotel occupancy tax since failing to meet the required audit and financial review due date of July 1st, 2024. We were all hoping that they would catch up, and it just didn't happen. There were other disqualifying factors: not submitting the financial for fiscal year 2023, the report due September 30th, 2024, not submitting the fiscal year report for 2024 due September 30th, 2025, not maintaining accreditation by the West Virginia Association of CVBs, and On a side note, and this just, I think, happened recently, I don't check their website often, but the West Virginia Association of CVBs lists all active members within the Association of CVBs, and Clarksburg is no longer listed. Essentially, there is a list of the reports that the state has on file. The most recent submission is shown as fiscal year 2022, submitted well before the due date of September 20th, 2023. So, having established that the CVB is ineligible to collect any portion of hotel occupancy tax, Hilton Garden Inn is formally requesting a credit of 50% of our occupancy tax paid for the dates of July 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2025. The amount is $128,118.23. Per West Virginia Code 17-18-14, parentheses 1, parentheses A, any hotel within the municipality may apply, there's a lot of suches here, may apply to such municipality for an appropriation to such hotel of a portion of the tax authorized by this article and collected by such hotel and remitted to such municipality for uses directly related to the promotion of tourism and travel, including advertising, advertising, salaries, travel, office expenses, publication, and similar expenses. The portion of such allocable taxes for the hotel not to exceed 75% of the hotel's portion of such tax collected. So lots of suches. So basically, the hotel can ask to be the one that we'll take it upon ourselves to make sure that Clarksburg has good advertising, good signage, so on, as part of the original 13 pages that you guys had to look at. It does show a very itemized list of where the money would go. The organizations here, like the Italian Heritage Festival that just spoke, that would be one example of a drawing card that Clarksburg has to welcome guests and hopefully get a lot of visitors that way. So Hilton Garden Inn is formally making application to the city of Clarksburg for an appropriation of 75% of hotel occupancy taxes collected and remitted by our hotel, and we remit to the city of Clarksburg each month. Hilton Garden Inn Clarksburg submits for approval of the following Hilton Garden Inn 2026 marketing plan budget as required by West Virginia Code 7-18-14A to be effective January 2026. So again, what we would do with that funds, if anybody has any questions, but I think I actually have it down to the penny on the budget that we're proposing. So, anybody has any questions? If anybody needs an extra copy, I brought one.
Could I see that?
Would you like to see a copy?
Yeah. I prefer the hard copy.
Oh, yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, I have another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Marissa Ryan, 349 Washington Avenue, wishes to address council concerning the rental house registration and rezoning resolution.
Good evening. I support raising standards for rental housing. I think we all want safe, healthy places for people to live. But I'm concerned that if this policy isn't designed carefully, it can unintentionally reduce the supply of affordable housing and increase homelessness in our community. I have 3 practical questions that I hope council will clarify before moving forward. First, what inspection tool or checklist would be utilized? HUD has transitioned primarily to the Inspire inspection tool for housing choice voucher units, and many landlords go through multiple rounds of inspection before passing. If this program utilizes a different or duplicative standard, we risk creating confusion and extra costs. Second, will properties that have already passed HUD inspection and have active housing vouchers in place, which require annual inspections by HUD, be subject to this new inspection? If so, the fees and administrative burden will almost certainly be passed on to tenants, and low-income renters are already stretched beyond their limits. It might be worthwhile to coordinate with the Housing Authority instead of duplicating some of the work they are already doing. Third, what happens when landlords fail the initial inspection and refuse to make the corrections? If problems aren't corrected, fines aren't paid, will code enforcement be triggered? That matters because we already lose a significant amount of low-income housing through condemnation. We all agree that some units are unsafe and must be addressed, but when housing is removed without a realistic plan to help tenants relocate or stabilize, we're effectively pushing people into homelessness. This has happened on several occasions in which we are the recipient of those individuals who are facing this. I work often with folks who lose housing not because they did something wrong, but because enforcement actions move faster than our ability to help them. If we want better housing, we also need a front-end plan to support people in achieving compliance and stability, not just penalties. I'm also concerned about how this proposal intersects with the resolution asking the Planning and Zoning Commission to review rezoning certain residential areas to R1. Downzoning limits density and reduces the kinds of housing that can be built or rehabilitated, especially smaller, more affordable units. When you combine the proposed inspection program, the costs of compliance, and rezoning that restricts housing types, you are effectively squeezing the bottom of the housing market from both sides. This equates to fewer units, higher rents, and more people who are pushed into housing instability. I'm asking council to slow down just enough to look at these policies together, coordinate with the Housing Authority and local landlords, align inspection standards, and think through the zoning impacts so that we raise housing quality without shrinking the availability of housing to low-income renters. Thank you.
Marcia, do you have any copies of that, or do you just have the one?
Yeah, I can email you a copy if that works.
Please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Michaela Garcia wishes to address council concerning the same issue.
Good evening. My name is Michaela Garcia. I also work with the Resilience Collaborative with United Way of Harrison County. I appreciate the intent behind this proposed ordinance and share the goal of improving housing quality and holding landlords accountable. In my work, we already limit placements to a small pool of landlords because many properties simply don't meet acceptable living standards. However, I'm concerned that without careful coordination and built-in safeguards, this ordinance could unintentionally reduce the availability of affordable housing and contribute to an increased housing instability and homelessness. Enforcement alone is not the solution. If we identify violations without pairing that process with front-end support, such as repair assistance, compliance planning, technical guidance, or phased remediation, we risk displacing low-income tenants who often have nowhere else to go. Let me remind you that the majority of Clarksburg low-income renters are seniors, individuals with disabilities, and families raising children, groups that are especially vulnerable to displacement already. We cannot ignore that as we shape policy. My ask for council is to table this and work more intentionally with the Housing Authority, local service providers, and local landlords to design a system that raises standards while protecting tenants from displacement. Additionally, I encourage the city to consider piloting this program with a voluntary participation model that includes incentives for landlords willing to comply. This could include a small repair grant, low-interest rehabilitation loans, inspection priority scheduling, fee reductions, or recognition programs for compliant landlords. A pilot approach would allow the city to test the process, refine the enforcement strategies, and build landlord buy-in, and measure impacts before scaling citywide. We can raise these housing standards and we can prevent homelessness at the same time, but only if we work together and if the ordinance is designed with both accountability and housing stability in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brad Moore wishes to address council concerning the same issue, I believe.
Hey, it's a good follow-up. This isn't my speech, but it would be awesome if we could get a roundtable together, because I'm coming at it from a completely different angle than they are. And I see a lot of the same things that they see, but I'm on the capitalist side and they're on the helping people. Same problem. If I don't have tenants, then I can't keep a place rented. Empty is bad for the city as well. But anyways, that would be just a quick out there that getting a roundtable together, I think would be a really good idea. This stuff is complicated. And like I said, they're coming at it from a completely different angle. But it is really hard, and they'll probably be the first to tell you that some of the low-income people are the hardest to keep housed, but they also need the most help, but they're going to go somewhere. And so we've had that issue before in the city. It has gotten significantly better, in my opinion. I don't know exactly what you guys have been doing to make that happen, but I'd hate to see it go back. I'll give a quick introduction. I've been in here a lot before. I haven't had to come in a while, or had to is a strong word. Coming up is always a good thing. But honestly, in general, I've been pretty pleased with the city. That's why I haven't been up here. I mainly just want to be left alone to do my work. And my passion is really in real estate and in the rental market. I own a lot of rental real estate. I used to live in Clarksburg. I live outside of the city outskirts of Bridgeport now, but that's not because I wanted to leave Clarksburg. I love Clarksburg. My son graduated from Byrd. So I'm actually more of a Clarksburg person than anything. But I'm really in here just to talk about this. I just want to give a quick history from my perspective. This is my third or fourth reversion of code enforcement that I've been on. So like I've been through a lot of revisions. I've remained, and the entire city council and the entire makeup of the city has changed. And every time something new happens, you get made new promises that are hard to adjust to because you're counting when the city tells you something that that's what they're going to do. But then when the new people come in, what you always hear is, well, that's what the last people told you. And so you did things based off that information, and it's kind of frustrating when you're in my shoes. I got along great with Ashley when he was a code enforcement. I thought he was a good guy. I get along well with Jason as far as I know. I'm sure he doesn't like me calling him. Jason always answers my calls, though, and we have a spirited dialogue. I've called Tiffany as well, and I always get answers. And really, I don't need people to agree. I do need people to answer, and I do appreciate that. Jerry answered my phone call. Will answered mine. I appreciate that. I didn't reach out to anybody else. I'm not pushing anybody under the table. So, but I just need a dialogue so that I can put out my side of it. And I know you guys have to struggle with certain things. So the one thing I will say, and I hope some of these people are gone, but code enforcement, Jason has always returned my call. Never once has he not. Other people there do not. I've called code enforcement sometimes 3, 4, 5, left messages every time over weeks. And I hope that that's being addressed. I haven't had to do it recently, so hopefully that's a thing of the past. But that frustrates me to no end when I get a long letter and I can't even get someone to call me back to explain exactly what the issue is. So then I end up calling the head of code enforcement when I should just get a quick response. And then it doesn't make any sense. Anyways, the first version of this was, hey guys, we're going to inspect these places. It's not going to cost you a dime. We got to clean out drugs in the city. And at the time I was like, I don't really want to do this because I feel like it's going to be burdensome on me. But I didn't come up here and talk about it because I thought it would be helpful. We did have a major drug issue, and I'm on the side of the good landlords. But I do think that there are a lot of people that we should not be dealing with that are landlords that need to be dealt with properly. The second was minimal cost. I did come up here and I did talk about that for the ones that, and my prediction is that the cost would go up eventually and that they would never be satisfied. And now here we are with my cost on those inspections that I personally have been compliant with. Some people that I manage for haven't been compliant with because under contract, they're the ones that have to set that up with you. But you can ask Jason if you guys go after them and you call us, we set it up, we get it done. But at what point, I guess, what is the limiting factor on the cost? That's just something I would like to discuss because, like I said, in the history, I've been told that every single version that it wasn't never going to change. And here we are. Oh, man, I got so many more things to talk about. I'm not the solution. I feel like I'm I'm not the problem. I'm part of the solutions. I'll just get to the end here. I got a whole bunch more. I'll come up next time. But the bottom line is I'll switch from complaints to solutions. We need to lean on the people that are out of compliance, not the people that are in compliance. If I was a detective, I could find these people immediately. It's not that hard. I have to compete with those people that are not in compliance. That's where the source of revenue should come from. I hope that the city creates, I've talked to Tiffany about this. I know I got to get off here. The city completes a public awareness campaign for have COs because the tenants don't care if I have them. No one has ever asked me if I have a certificate of occupancy. But I would love it if the city actually said, hey, make sure you rent, because if you don't have one of those, then you might lose your housing if we come and inspect and they're not in compliance. Like, that is something coming from the market to me that makes mine worth something. But the last thing I'll end with is, Last thing is I will make myself available to anybody in here to discuss my side of it. I will take up any time of day. If anybody wants to meet with me, I'm more than happy to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. So thank you all very much. I'd like to get you.
City managers report.
So there's been a lot going on in the city. I'm sort of losing my voice, so I apologize. From the city parks, I just want to highlight all the assistance that we've received to keep the YMCA open during school swim season. They should be done close to the end of February. Code enforcement's issued 49 permits and collected almost $6,000 in fees. They've been working to modernize the code department at the request of council. We're working through issues in the code department as well. The finance department, so they're working on their annual audit of city financials. They're preparing a request for proposal for city banking as well. It's going up in January. The fire department responded to a total of 288 calls for service. Sorry, and there's a misprint there. There were 2 structure fires in December. Grants are moving forward. We're applying for a number of grants. We're applying for another grant to demo houses as well through the CBDG grant, and there is a match required for that. The police department responded to a total of 1,577 calls for service in the month of December. And we have our newest K9 member. He's actually here today, so that's Lobo.
Hans Jurgen Lobo.
Lobo, yeah. And the
Hans
mobile
Jurgen.
communications vehicle, which was funded through congressionally directed spending grant, is in the back parking lot. It was here for council to see before the meeting started as well. Public Works hasn't been busy. There's been some freezing rain this year. They've also assisted when there's issues with the construction downtown. And up at City YMCA, they've been there quite a bit as well. The Robinson Grand has lots of programming coming up. You go to the robinsongrand.com to see what's happening. The wastewater treatment plant processed 253 million gallons of wastewater for the month of December and generated almost $10,000 in various revenue. And a reminder to the public to please not flush baby wipes or flushable wipes down the drain. They do not dissolve and can cause blockages in the sewer line as well as damage to the pumps.
Thank you.
City clerk's information. A zoning form in connection with an application to operate an ABCA licensed private club, private wine restaurant, or tavern was followed by Origo Holdings LLC doing business as the Bluebird Store, 342 West Main Street, and returned to the applicant on January 9th, 2026. Unfinished business, consideration of second and final reading and public hearing of an ordinance transferring 105 Grove Avenue from the city of Clarksburg to the Clarksburg Land Reuse Agency. Notice was regarding the public hearing appeared in the Exponent Telegram on December 23rd and December 30th.
We will now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. We will close the public hearing.
I'll say something real quick. I actually know about that. I can talk. I hope that goes back in because that area over there are units that have no parking that causes a real problem. And I hope somebody purchases that and turns it into parking. That would be the best thing to get back out to somebody else because that area is very congested. I just know because I deal with it. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move to transfer 105 Grove Avenue to the LRA.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Consideration of first reading of an ordinance amending Article 1767 rental housing registration program.
Second.
Discussion on that. Is that just mainly the consideration for the, I guess to amend it, is that just mainly the fee structure?
Can I give an overview? Because it
Sure.
really answers a lot of the questions and the questions that came from the public. So when we first looked at the rentals, when we pulled the rental data, and Jason can confirm this, there was around 943 rentals. When we went to the assessor's office, it appears that there's anywhere between 1,400 to 1,800 rentals in the city. Our number one concern is safety. There is a lot of homes that people are renting that simply are not safe. And rentals, we're made aware of those on the honor system. People come and tell us when they buy a house and turn it into a rental. There needs to be a certificate of occupancy for every single rental, and there needs to be inspection every 2 years. Currently, the fee that we charge does not cover the cost of doing those inspections. And I don't believe, well, first of all, I know we don't have money in the budget to add more positions into code, but they are needed to get a handle on, let's go the low on 1,400 residential rentals in the city. So this fee structure is set up so that it is a cost recovery of those who own rentals. However, after talking to Mr. Morris, he's like, he believed it was a little bit, it was a penalty to him as a good landlord. And I said, that's a valid point, because the fee up front is $150. And I said, okay, well, we have a checklist that we already use, because we already do these inspections in code. So I said, we will provide that list a week in advance before your inspection, and if you come back with no issues, I suggest cutting that fee by 50%, but I'm not opposed to council as an incentive to keep your house properly for rental, cutting that fee down to $30 or $35, which is slightly higher than it is now. Then there's an incentive to keep a proper rental. The number one focus of this is safety. We have fires in the city. We get videos of rodents from rentals, bugs from rentals. I've noticed a lot of issues that we need to get a handle on this, and the 4 staff we have in code is simply not enough. And I don't believe it should be taken from the general fund or the sales tax. It needs to be paid for by the people who own those rentals without it being penalized to the good landlords. And that's what this does.
Is that $150 per unit?
Per unit, but if they don't have like a Kim from the Gore with her rental units, I've seen her units, they're in perfect condition. Her fee would go basically down to what it is now, because I know for a fact, she's not gonna have any issues. So it's not really fair to charge her $150. But when you have to come through and spend 4 or 5 hours because there's so much wrong with the rental, that's incredibly problematic. And it's unreasonable to say the rest of the city has to pay for that in staff time, because that's what's happening. We're sending out public works, we're sending out sanitary, codes coming out, police is coming out, because these rentals are just not being monitored or checked properly. And if they can't come into compliance, then they either need to go on the demo list or they need to be boarded up, and people should not be living in there. I don't want people to be unhoused at all. They also shouldn't be asked to live in something that's filled with rodents or bugs or is a fire hazard or there's sanitaries. We had one house where their house was filled with waste. Like, that's not correct. But if we want to get a handle on this, there has to be funding to do it. And right now there is not.
Why can't we, for these two, like Kim and Mr. Morse, just give them a flat fee of like $100 for all their units? Why couldn't we do that?
Because right now we already have it in the ordinance. I think it's 20 or 25 per unit.
Yeah, but why should we punish the people that have good units, clean units?
Because you still need a certificate of occupancy to rent out. There has to be a minimum standard across the board.
What you said, how much is it now?
I think it's 20 or 25.
20.
It's 20 now.
So, I mean, I wouldn't mind if we make an amendment to those that are in compliance or have shown historically that they are in compliance. We will change that fee back to what it is now, so there's no change in that.
And
they keep operating as they are. They keep operating in compliance, and then we're able to focus on those that are not.
I think my problem with that is when you get the government involved, picking winners and losers, you're going to have problems. people who you think are doing well are probably not doing well, and vice versa. You're going to have a problem. Then you're going to leave it to the opinion or the code enforcement officers, how they're, perception on certain people, and you're going to have problems.
Actually, to deal with that, the proposal is we would be hiring someone who's not currently in code. It would be a new position to manage these. And we would not be picking winners or losers because it is going to go by a checklist. So it's going to be a standardized checklist we will provide to them a week in advance. Here's what we're going to be looking for. Here's your opportunity. If you have any of these deficiencies, you need a week to fix them. If you need longer, feel free to call us. We'll come and inspect in a month. We'll give you that time to fix it. That's what this accomplishes. But it's fair across the board. Again, $150. If we go in, you have your list, nothing wrong, it's $20. Same as it's always been. But then we're protecting the life and safety of these renters who, to the point that was made today, a lot of times they're not in the position to fight a landlord. I just found out today that you can give a 30-day notice if you don't want someone in there for no reason in West Virginia. Well, that's not fair either. It's not fair to force them to live in squalor, and then they complain to the landlord and they're like, you know what, we'll give you 30 days notice and the next person can come in and move in, and maybe they're okay living like that. I wouldn't be, and I don't think council should be. I think it's completely unreasonable. And this deals with the problem that we are facing, and it's done in a very fair and reasonable manner.
I don't know. I mean, I would support tabling it like the young lady suggested. Thank Brad and Marissa for coming up and speaking their mind about it. I just don't think it's going to be successful. It seems like we've had issues in the past doing what we're going to be doing. Just once we get a little bit more money, it sounds like an addict. They just give me a little bit more. We'll make it work this time around. Yeah, well, I mean, we got to accept the fact that this isn't Mayberry. Going into the discussion on the next agenda item, I think you'll understand why. But I just, I think we just need to remain focused. We got to find the people who are not obeying code or failing inspections or not even registering for this stuff, and go after them. I mean, if we can't go after the people that aren't doing it now, I don't see how it's going to work out. Just ask for a little bit more
But if we
money.
make an amendment to where the cost isn't changing, it's going back to what it was, and then the raising and going after those that are non-compliant would help pay for the position. And like you said, focus, like have somebody, I mean, when you have 1,400 rentals,
Well, it sounds like we know who, at least talking to the tax department, we know who these people are.
No, we know some of them, but I don't think we can still stay on top of it because they're constantly buying new properties, constantly moving. I mean, always buying new and changing things. And I mean, they're trying to hide. We have somebody that was on top of it. They'll be more honest and they'll be less likely. They'll think they have less chance of getting away with it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Brad. It's just the people who pay are going to continue to pay. The people who don't are not going to pay. I mean, it's just.
Comes in too, because if they are not compliant, and we've tried, and that's why I even told Brad, I think this, in the long run, will benefit those that are compliant because it'll change the market to where it's not the bad actors in there. It'll start filtering those out, and then it'll start those that are doing it right would be having more opportunities to buy more houses, to get more rental properties, and then we're just shifting it. The people that are doing it right makes more money. That's the free market. That's what we want to do. And those that are not, like any business, if you're bad at business, you should not make a lot of money. Here, slumlords make all kinds of money. I mean,
that shows to me that there's a demand. I think Marissa kind of highlighted that. There's a demand for affordable housing. There's a demand for that. So when we keep raising fees, they are going to pass them down to the tenants. And if somebody needs I think I mentioned this a little bit ago, if somebody needs a $400 apartment, they're going to find a $400 apartment. And they're going to go find somebody who's going to let them, sleep wherever they need to sleep. And they're not going to go get registered. They're not going to do all the hoops that you want them to jump through. It's just, I don't.
Well, it's all right if they want to give them a $400 place to live, but it has to be to a standard. It can't be, that people are allowed to just, okay, we're going to take this house and we're going to chop this into 8 apartments when really we know that it was just a 3-story house.
If I may, that's the next agenda item. But okay. I mean, and we'll get to that. Obviously, that's part of the discussion. But I mean, that's just.
I just have one question for the vice mayor. So, with your amendment, do the people who are playing by the rules and stuff, like Brad over here, I mean, are they gonna be charged anymore for this, or it's
No.
just the bad actors?
That's why I asked her the exact amount it was before,
$20.
so then it would go back to what they're paying right now.
I mean, I would support that amendment, but I would also support, what Brad has said too. I think you have to bring everybody together on a round table too that has different perspectives on this, because I just feel like that we're trying to make, I mean, I understand, safety is paramount and we definitely need more resources in the code enforcement department. But at the same time, I think, we have to know sort of the nature what's going on, from Marissa's end and from Brad's end of things, when
With
we're
all
making
due respect,
decisions
we
up here.
understand what's going on. We want people to have a safe place to live.
Well, and I
And
get
our
that, and I agree with
intention
you
is
on
to-
that, so.
In that case, I'm
When
gonna,
Marissa speaks, she
I'm gonna
doesn't-
move the table as was suggested. And if, we can discuss it, we can have the round table, we can all sit down, we can invite other landlords in the area to come in.
Is there, but is there an amendment?
There was an amendment.
It hasn't been offered yet.
I didn't officially make it.
Motion on the table. I call the question.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second.
I motion to table.
All right, we have a motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion on the
Okay.
motion.
We can't discuss, we have discussed it here, we have to do yes or no.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Councilmember Deems,
No.
Councilmember Howe,
Yes.
Councilmember Hyman,
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Worth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Russell,
Yes.
Mayor Malkovich. Consideration of a resolution of the City of Clarksburg, West Virginia, requesting the Planning and Zoning Commission to review proposed zoning map amendments to rezone certain residential areas to R1 Single Family Residential.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Discussion. Go ahead, Wayne. Well, I'm just gonna follow up with the points I made in the last discussion that we had. I think Marissa's concerns are very valid. If the idea is to make Clarksburg's neighborhoods more stately and, have these large homes that we're not subdividing into 3 or 4 unit rentals, then we're approaching it the absolute wrong way. I think if you want to turn these homes back into what they were back in, 1930s, 40s, 50s Clarksburg, then we need to look a different direction, and that's through opportunity, jobs, and anything we can, promote people to come into the area that'll renovate these homes to live there. That's the goal. If you prohibit that from happening, you're going to prevent people from moving into homes who need affordable housing. I mean, it's that simple.
I see these houses that have been chopped up, and I don't think it's so much as turning it back into a single-family dwelling, but when you have these houses that are chopped up to the point where you have one bathroom that suffices for 2 or 3 different apartments, things like that don't
I
work.
can't imagine that with
And
past code.
Also, it's not just a hazard to the individuals who live there, it's a hazard to the fire departments. Because our fire and police departments have to go into these places and, they need to know, okay, is this gonna be, a single family house? Is this gonna be, first floor is an apartment, second floor is an apartment, third floor is an apartment? How does this actually work? So, we actually have to set this thing up and, dictate, okay, this is the way it's gonna work. It can't just be people take a house and chop it up and make it as many people as I can squeeze in a building just because there's rooms. It's an apartment building. It doesn't work like that.
Well, if the people are following the code and the law, they would come to the city and they'd apply for building permits to do so. I'd like to add, there's communal bathrooms probably are not allowed. I mean, you got maybe able to elaborate here, but I can't imagine you can have one bathroom for 3 or 4 different rental. You can't do that. So, I don't believe that's happening. It may be happening for people who don't follow the rules and don't, and when you create all these obstacles for doing it, there's people who are going to break the rules. I mean, that's just what's going to
I
happen.
think we have zoning for this purpose. I'm for affordable housing. I'm not for it when it's going to make an area, and I know Bristol mentioned the word dense. It's not good in certain neighborhoods. It's not good in certain areas. We need affordable housing. I'm in favor of that, but not at the detriment of the rest of the street, where parking becomes an issue. where it becomes, where a fire truck can barely even get down a road sometimes, when there's people parking on sidewalks, destroying the sidewalks, when there's people just, safety becomes an issue. Clay Street is the perfect example, always go against it. One of our most high volume police response streets used to be, a very prominent street. Now we can't, society's changed. We're not going to have families that have 10 people anymore. So those bigger houses, sorry, no offense, they're rare, but that's why those houses were as large as they were. But I'm not in favor of those large houses becoming 4 apartments. And a lot of times, again, goes back to having somebody focusing on apartment buildings. We can find these before they happen. They happen. There's people with apartment buildings that are turning in 3 or 4, and they shouldn't be in the current zone. They're getting
But
around.
did they follow the rules to get there?
No.
Okay, then. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So you can add all the rules in the book, Jerry. I mean, that's just what's going to happen at the end of the day.
Focused on that.
Let's make it happen.
We just tabled it.
Well, you're not going back to that. If you want to go back to that discussion, that's not going to help it.
Can I?
You can throw $1 million at it. It's just not going to do it.
Context to this. So this came up when we were talking about WI, and Councilmember Worth had said it needs to be fair across the city. I think a lot of the public would agree. There's a large portion of the city that there's issues with. If council, the public is saying they want to see changes, if council wants to see changes, what we have now is not working. This stops the bleeding. So at least that was the purpose of the last ordinance, and this is the purpose of this resolution. Both of them were created so we can get a handle on what's going on in the city.
So what about properties that have already been done? Are they grandfathered in?
We are going to look at them to see if they have the proper permits
I can't imagine that's.
and then address those going forward. But it's unreasonable to ask for positive change in the city if there's tools that we don't have that we need to be in place. So right now you have multi-unit rentals and there's parking issues on the street, then it probably wasn't zoned right to begin with. And the zoning does need to go back, and then we need to bring a new zoning plan to council, which is what we're doing. But just to say we just need to leave everything the way it is, continue to let it get worse and try to fix it, that's not a formula that's ever gonna work for council. It's never going to work.
One more. So I think we all voted unanimously about changing WI. The idea was there also is that we're not trying to prohibit somebody coming from doing it. We are putting ourselves in a position to have a say in it. If there's some areas that, if we change the zoning, that say there's 3 or 4 houses that got tore down, there's places for parking, and you can do it right. There is a process in place for the landowners to come out here and say, can we, ask for approval for it? And we could give approval where it makes sense. Putting this here, they got to ask us, they got to come to us. If it's in the right place and it's not too dense, then I think that decision is on the city there's a process for that.
When you say we, you're referring to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yeah.
And then,
well, as a city as a whole.
That's why it's so important that who sits on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm not going to go down that road, but I'm not a big fan of it. I think we need to get over the concept that that this isn't Mayberry. We need to make if somebody needs an affordable house, we got to make it available. Because if we don't, it's not going to end well. And if we force them to turn them into single family units or single family homes, they're going to sit abandoned. We got to approach it from a different angle, and that's what I'm trying to get at. And I don't think this does it.
I just want to hit home what you said just there right now, Will. I think if you eliminate a property owner's ability, say if grandma lived in this big house and then grandma dies, son takes it over, and say the son wants to turn it into a duplex, and he follows all the right regulations, the codes, you name it, makes it into a nice duplex. If we inhibit someone from doing that, not only were you inhibiting, folks to be able to move into a potentially really nice, duplex, but we're also eliminating a piece of the market. And what's going to happen with that big house? It's probably just going to sit there, and then it's going to become our problem. I mean, I look at this and I think it's more, I get it. It's a little bit of a zoning problem, but I think it's more of a code enforcement problem. And really, I think even during budget time, we really need to prioritize, providing more resources to the code department, whatever that may look like, wherever that may take, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who lose out on this. Not only folks from the low income, situation, but also folks from the business end of being able to provide a market for multi-use units. So I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's more of a code enforcement issue, and providing more resources to code enforcement to be able to inspect these places. I think that should be really a priority. But that's a budget issue.
But we're
that I
not
think needs to be taken
prohibiting,
up.
we're not prohibiting people from doing it. They just gotta come and go through the process and request it. So we're not prohibiting anything.
But how I'm reading it here is like we're essentially just rezoning or sending it to the Planning and Zoning Commission to rezone certain residential areas just as R1.
But so if somebody came to, I'm just throwing it out there. So if they went to planning and zoning and everything's R1 and they're requesting it to be rezoned to an R2 and it's one parcel, then in essence, is the planning and zoning now going to be spot zoning throughout the entire community? And maybe that's an issue they got to deal with, but I don't know what that. I mean, me personally, I think we should also go back. I mean, this right now, I would assume, I haven't seen the comprehensive plan in a while, but I would say it's contrary to the comprehensive plan. But maybe we need to look at the comprehensive plan if we're going to consider that, because it's a land use plan. Let's see how everything is laid out. It should be laid out.
So you know where that is? Because that cost us $67,000 back in 2021.
Maybe we should open.
So I have a couple questions. I think I was too polite because I had questions the last time and we had a motion to table before I got to ask them. So I'm gonna start now. What percentage of property is not R1? Residential property that's not R1.
Most of it is not R1.
What's most? 60%?
I don't know.
75%?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
Do we have a zoning map? Because it does reference a zoning map, but there wasn't one in the packet. Sorry.
No, I apologize, I don't have it attached to it.
Okay. Can we get a follow-up on that percentage of property not in R1?
Yes.
Okay. So just to be clear here, because I think maybe there's some crosstalk, maybe we don't have a definite answer. So what somebody owns a house, it's zoned as an R2 and R3 right now. They're using it that way. And we say, okay, this is an R1 now. What happens? Do the people that are in that house have to be evicted?
No, because if they did it properly and got their proper permits, they don't. What we would look at, even without this, is the ones that have been changed. We want to go back and look to see if they got the proper permits from the city that they're zoned properly to begin with. My guess, based on what we've looked at, there's a lot that they just went and developed. No
So what if they didn't do it the right way? So what happens then?
That's what I've been talking to Richard about. What do we do with the 4-unit or 5-unit houses that never got the proper permits, never followed the proper process, and it depends when they did it. So it depends if there was planning documents in place that they contradicted and went against, or there was just nothing. It's two very different situations.
Why couldn't we give them 60 to 90 days to come into compliance? If they're not in compliance.
Well, if it's a zoning thing, that could mean they were kicking people out. If they're at 4, come in compliance at 3, they're pushing people
Who
out.
do you decide goes, right?
That's the landlord, yeah.
Yeah, that starts to put them in an uncomfortable position. I would like to have an answer to that question. And I know that might not be possible right now. Just kind of a refresher for me and for people who are here watching of the process of this. So if this would pass tonight, it goes to zoning and planning.
Yes.
And then there's a 30-day waiting period, right? There had to be, when we did WI in Northview, there was a 30-day notice. So this would go, if this passes here, this goes to zoning and planning. If they pass it, then everybody gets 30-day notice. And then it comes back for first and second reading. It would have to go through 2 readings, right? Oh, no, it's a resolution, 1 reading.
No, it'd be an ordinance. It'd come back in an ordinance.
So it would be
This
2
tonight
readings.
is 1 reading, like a vote, then it goes to P and Z.
So when is the next zoning and planning?
It's in February, we just had it, so it would be
Okay.
a month from now.
So we're probably 30 days away from that. If it passes zoning and planning, then it the first time we could hear it, for our first reading would be the second meeting in March, maybe. So we're talking April, and we're going to get into May before this goes through. And this is if it passes planning and zoning. You know, I think right now we've got some unanswered questions in this. I do think when you consider some of the issues living in Northview, I think parking's a giant issue, and that's not necessarily the zoning is not the reason, but I know parts of the city where people complain about it. You know, I just think that affordable housing is a top concern of mine. Density requires planning, and I think what happened, it was kind of the wild west, and things kind of got out of control, and so I think that this is a way to start to reel it in. But I think we've got some real questions about, you know, what happens to those. Are our documents or our records good enough to argue against somebody who says, I went through this process, I asked for this approval, but we don't have record of it? Are they good enough to fight that fight?
Well, I guess follow up, I guess the question I was trying to fit in is, I guess when we're asking, have they done it properly or did they do it properly, the permits and zoning? I mean, if they're zoned, I mean, I guess what's that mean? Because, I mean, if it's been 20 years, somebody has, or 30 years, they've had quad units in a large house, I don't know how you're going to go back 40 years and say you didn't do something.
That's basically why I brought this forward, because I think it's gonna be very difficult to go back and fix those. But at some point, we need to stop it from happening, because density is the issue. You have a city that wasn't designed for multi-unit rentals within homes. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. The streets aren't wide enough, there's not enough parking, the houses are too close together. Density is an issue, and if you don't put a stop to it, all you're doing is compounding the problem. As much as I would like to say, let's pack Northview with multi-unit rentals, You're right, parking's a nightmare there already.
And I don't disagree,
It
and I
has
think,
to stop at some point, and none of this is punitive. It's just, let's stop and get a handle on it. That's all this is.
Well, and I'll just finish my comments and then I'll be done. I brought up that timeline to lay out to everybody. I'm in support of starting the process tonight. Where this comes out is a different question, because there are obviously questions and processes we have to work through to make sure that we're doing right by property owners and tenants and the city. You know, I see three parties here that we all have to coexist. But this is a long process that we are going to give ourselves a runway to navigate. And I mean, planning and zoning could come back and say no. Now, it would, even if they said no, it still comes back to us, right?
they're only gonna provide a recommendation.
Right. So it comes back to us. So, you know, I think we start the process to have the conversation so that we're not, I mean, we table this, we don't do it, and then we wait to have this conversation in July, then we're talking 2027 before it gets off the ground.
Well, and a lot of the conversation from council is about affordable housing, which is absolutely in need. I think the conversation also has to be around home ownership and the expectations of people who own their homes. They want to be able, they only have street parking. They want to be able to park in front of their house. And that's a density issue. And that's not an unreasonable request from homeowners either.
I don't think that's going to be controlled from City Hall. Correct. You know,
It is if you allow all these.
I think if there's a parking complaint, they need to call the police. So
But
there's,
there's
you know,
always-
Well,
there's
I think if you go
issue.
back to when Clarksburg was building, you know, back in the 20s, 30s, 40s,
Yeah.
50s, the majority of these houses
Didn't have cars.
didn't have cars, or they had one car. Now, an average house probably has 4 cars, 3 cars in there. I mean, that's a problem in itself, right?
Well, if you look, but even if it's R1, it doesn't. The parking problem doesn't solve itself.
But you don't want to make it worse.
What?
That's the point.
I understand, and we're on the same side on this one. But I'm saying that, you know, especially when you get into these neighborhoods where there's only parking on one side of the street, it's a massive issue. Like Will knows.
No,
Well, no, you guys.
I got a big 2-car garage. It's bigger than my house. I can't complain.
I've got to get rid of the car out of my garage so I can park in there. But you know, in these neighborhoods where you can only park on one side, it's a nightmare.
Sure, I don't disagree there. I mean, but I don't think that's going to. You're not going to control parking.
No, you're
with
right.
With code, or you know, if somebody's blocking your, you know, or they have dead tags or something, you know,
Right.
code's not going to do it.
Single family home, and all of a sudden the house beside you turns into a quad home. You've gone from having 3 cars to 12 cars plus your own. That's where the problem comes in, and yes, it can be stopped.
I mean, big cities that are 10, 15, 20, 50 times the size of Clarksburg have these problems. And
But they
people
also have
are
traffic
clamoring to live
systems.
there. So, you know, I don't know, you
They
know,
also
I think we need to,
block
like I said, we need to focus away from trying to control every little detail about rental property and parking issues and stuff, and just create opportunity for people to come live in Clarksburg and work. And maybe the people will rebuild these homes. Maybe people will spur new housing developments. You know, I don't think we're going to control it from here. That's the problem.
I disagree. I think that basically, you know what, this is where we need to start drawing the line in the sand to say, okay, there are certain things that we are not going to tolerate in this city any longer. And this is one of those things. And it's not being punitive. It's just a matter of, okay, there have to be some standards because people are doing whatever they want to do in Clarksburg. It's like, you know what, I'm going to go into this building and this is what I'm going to do with it. And okay. And we're saying, well, we don't have any checks and balances on it. Well, we should have. And I think that that's all this is. And as Councilman Dean said, basically, this is a long runway. basically, this is an opportunity. I mean, the media is right here. People who are out there who have these rentals and they know what's going on. Basically, they're going to get earshot of this and they're going to hear it. And it's like, man, wait a minute. I got some of these properties. Time is on their side right now. So, this is where we have to start stepping up and saying, and we have to start managing these little details, because it's the little details that's going to actually make or break Clarksburg. It's going to decide whether people actually want to come into Clarksburg and live. I don't feel like we're really constraining people in how they can live, but the quality of life that individuals have in the community they live in. What about the people who live in the homes that they purchased and they have to deal with this insanity up and down their street? It's not fair to them. So, I mean, as a council, I think that, we bear that responsibility to step up and say, okay, you know what, we're just going to draw the same. And really, tonight, we're just saying, okay, we're going to vote on this. And we still have opportunity to go and sit down as a group and discuss this matter more, fine tune it, and put something together that works for the entire city, for the citizens, the renters, the rentals, the whole 9 yards. It needs to be done.
I grew up on Clay Street, which used to be a really nice street. And when you pull down Clay Street, it's the second house on the left. It used to be the back home, big, beautiful brick home. And I used to run around in that house. And how they have 3 apartments in there now is beyond my comprehension. And there are 3 apartments in that house. So we need to do something.
I mean, in all fairness, do we know if they followed the procedure to turn it in?
I want to know who approved it, because I like to have a conversation with them.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you right now, and I'll stop. Passing the previous agenda item and passing this agenda item is not going to fix that building that you just mentioned. It's not going to do it.
But doing absolutely nothing isn't going to fix this problem.
You're only fixing the problems that may arise. But if these people come in and follow the procedures and come to code and seek licenses and do it the right way, then it will be stopped. It'll be fixed, and it'll go to P&Z, and P&Z will make a determination on
But
it.
it won't be stopped, because there's places that are zoned where you can put a 4-unit rental that need to be stopped, even if it's allowed, because there's too many there now. It needs to be stopped, because the issues that we're facing are too large, and where a multi-unit are allowed right now also need to stop to get a handle on these issues. These neighborhoods can only handle so many multi-unit rentals before we run out of street space, before the fire trucks can't get through. It's not about just what's happened in the past. It's the zoning had changed. How long can those neighbors handle it in the future? They can't. We need to get a handle on it and say, what can we actually handle going forward? Maybe what's an R4, like allows a quad unit, can only handle 2 units now. Well, to assess that, we need to stop this and figure out what's going to work.
If we pass this, I would ask the city manager to bring facts back to us about rural cities that are comparable in size, because what their zoning looks like. Because I think when we talk about density and we talk about planning, and you're right. I was in Seattle and Portland this summer, and they build up, but there is fantastic public transportation opportunities, and that's something we don't have here. And so I don't think that we can necessarily say, all of this multiple family stuff here is okay because they do it in big cities. I think we need to not reinvent the wheel and go find best practices to see what other places are doing that look like us, that look like car-dependent communities.
That's fair, and I would go even further, that if it should pass tonight, we have a work session to determine what material and what kind of stuff we need to look at before we handle. It says right here, take off my glasses so I can read. Conduct its review in accordance with applicable state law and zoning procedures. And then there was a mention of us giving them supporting documents and stuff like that. So they need to have all the information that we can give them, and we need it too. I think I think that we need to start there and probably have another work session about it before they vote on it, and we can kind of get an idea of exactly what we're going to bring to them. I mean, but
And I'm just going to add to what you said, Will. I think we need to dust off the old comprehensive plan that we spent $67,000 on in 2021, and look at that and probably come up with a better strategic plan at a work session before we even think about sending this to planning and zoning.
What is it, the last one?
We did. We talked about both of these at the last work session.
Well, I agree with Mr. Howe. I think we should have a map of the zone in Clarksburg. I'd like to have that first next week, if that's all possible, in our mailbox, please.
Yeah, you can also.
And do that on a 11 by 17, please, not 8.5 by 11.
Okay.
Or get some magnifying glass.
Probably want to do it by neighborhood, but I would say, but anyway.
Okay, any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Councilmember Dean?
Yes.
Councilmember Howe? Councilmember Hyman?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
Yes.
Councilmember Ford?
No.
Vice Mayor Riffle?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Mafter, or Mayor Mafter?
Oh, boy.
You haven't had the election yet.
Sorry.
Yes.
Consideration of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Clarksburg accepting the West Virginia First Foundation continuation grants for the city social worker position.
Madam Clerk, motion to pass a resolution of the Clarksburg City Council will accept the West Virginia First Foundation continuation grant for the city social worker position.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Consideration of a resolution establishing a one-time downtown construction impact business grant program.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Madam City Manager, could you explain this to us a little so we have a better understanding and that the people out here and businesses will have a better understanding of exactly what this grant program is?
Yes, so I had a request from 2 council members to come up with a potential grant, one-time grant program, specifically for the downtown construction area. So the downtown construction starts up by the Caboose Restaurant, goes all the way to
Let me stop you. It starts at Menards.
Menards, all the way down past Wendy's, to sort of where Twisted Spoke is, and then it's from Hardee's all the way by the bridge. There's a car detailing shop there, and by gravestones.
Oh, like past WBOY?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I did was there is interest off of ARPA funds. I've identified there's between 33 to 37 businesses that I have identified. There might be more, there's definitely not less. They have to be businesses that get foot traffic, i.e. the Bluebird or Kelly's or Washington Square, where people can go and it has to be a small business, can't be a chain, national, international, or regional chain. And it's a one-time, no strings attached grant. So I want to be incredibly transparent that funding is for whatever they think is best for their business, because the downtown construction project was 11 months long. We replaced sewer lines, some MS4, water lines, Hope Gas. We're talking miles of pipe that was replaced. The general timeline for a project of this magnitude would have been 4 to 5 years. We condensed it to meet the Department of Highways paving schedule. So it was a deviation from a regular plan, although having a downtown under construction for 4 to 5 years is not ideal either. But the downtown businesses in this area set out have been very patient and very gracious to accommodate all this construction. And those funds can be used, it's a $4,200 one-time disbursement. Basically the one requirement is you need it to be in business for 90 days between March 1st and December 31st of 2025. Because the construction, I know people think it's gone on for a long time, it actually only started March 1st.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes. We are getting a brand new downtown from underground up, and we're hoping that'll continue moving up above ground. We have new buildings on the horizon, a candy shop coming. We're working on things for the biometric building. We have great business owners here working to better downtown. And I think this is a good proposal. The only thing I would tell council or advise council is you need to make up the boundaries of it, hard boundaries to this project. The other things that are going on into the city are regular construction deadlines. It's not applicable to this program. This program is simply for the one that we are involved in, which is downtown.
Okay, so bit of a clarifying question. Under grant structure, it says one-time flat financial award of $4,200.
Yes.
In section 5,
Did it say 4,500?
it says 4,500.
It's supposed to be 42.
Okay.
I apologize.
That's fine. 4,200. What was the number you said? Number of businesses?
33 to 37 is what we've identified.
Okay.
That would fit the criteria that we put in that.
So let's call it 40. That's 168,000. We have 151. Was that the number?
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. 151 in ARPA funds. Is that the?
Yes.
Yeah. So are we making up the rest of that money from economic development? Is that?
That would be my recommendation.
Okay, so I was contacted. I think some other people on council were contacted. So right across the bridge, when you're talking on Milford Street, is that part of the project or not? Is that in the boundary?
Milford, you're talking about Vito's?
Vito's and up.
Dairy Queen?
No, they are not, because they are not part of the bound. This is why I'm telling council, it's gonna be a difficult decision, but it's the boundaries of the downtown multi-stakeholder infrastructure project.
I understand that, but I think that they have been adversely affected with water turnoffs or with people not wanting to come to those businesses because of the construction, whether they don't want to drive through terrible road conditions or they don't want to sit in a queue for 30 minutes. On a daily basis, I get text messages from people who, and it's not as bad now because that's obviously there's not as much work going on, but especially this summer into the fall, people would be sitting there on Milford Street for 20, 30 minutes at a time. That obviously has affected business over there. And so, we very much get into the residential neighborhood there after the stoplight on Milford Street. So up above the Dairy Queen, right in that area. That's kind of where the businesses end. Am I right? Is there something I'm forgetting?
Clarksburg Blueprint.
Quite well. Okay. So, I mean, I am glad to see, that the businesses over there, by WBOI. I'm sorry, I don't know the street names over there very well. I barely know the street names of Northview. I've lived there my whole life. So anyway, so I'm glad that that's there, but I think we have to take into consideration that these are people that have been adversely affected, even though they don't fall inside of these boundaries.
Well, the only one you really have is Vito's, because Dollar General's a corporate.
Sure.
Dairy Queen's a corporate, and so is Domino's.
What they're
They're
franchisees.
franchisees, though.
Yeah, they're
I mean, so
franchises.
the question is, say like McDonald's, John Ebert. I mean, so if they,
It's corporate.
but I believe he's a franchisee.
He is a franchisee.
So the thing is, he has to pay the franchise to have the name. Okay, now if McDonald's is affected by this, is the corporation going to give him some sort of stimulus to help him out? I mean, we don't know that.
Is McDonald's gonna shut down?
I mean,
I was there today.
He's certainly taking a hit.
I mean,
all those businesses
that's what I'm
are.
saying. You have to
Dollar
ask the
General.
question. I mean, what's your definition of, franchises and franchisees?
If it's
and
a
what-
national, international chain, they do not qualify.
Well, I mean, I think that's up for debate.
I think it
Because
comes back to
if
the
they're
idea.
franchisees, I mean, I could be a franchisee and I could, own an O'Reilly Auto Parts store. And if I'm affected by this, then guess what? I don't think O'Reilly Auto Parts is going to send me, corporation going to send me money. No, I'm just going to have to close.
What? So I mean, what if they can prove that their B&O taxes down from the previous year?
I agree with that.
Are we talking about McDonald's?
No, Jerry.
I hope we're not.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that I don't think we're just talking about McDonald's. I think we're talking about the businesses. Councilman Howe, what did you say the street is where the stoplight is? North and Clarksburg Blueprint. Like, if Clarksburg Blueprint, who's been here for how long, if they can show us that their B&O tax is down substantially, right? I understand business fluctuates. The economy's not humming along as good as it has been. So, like, I understand that they might be down, but if they're down 20%, like, I think you would have to say that the road construction has something to do with that.
Okay, let's expound the boundaries and cut the price.
Well, I mean, if you're going to expand the boundaries, you might as well expand it to Northview too.
Yeah.
Cosmos
Well,
Kitchens.
that was the next
That's
question.
a water board project, and that's specific. The water board is not run under the city.
Okay, I mean, I get that, but they're
If
still
people want to
affected.
go deal with how that project is being run, go contact the water board.
So we don't care if it's closed.
But they're in the city.
It's
they're
a
a
water
business.
board project. If it's not being overseen properly, they're not filling in their trenches properly, the contract wasn't written properly, those are all a water board issue.
Have we talked to the water board about compensation for?
Why, no, I haven't.
Why would we talk to the water board about compensation? They're their own entity. I mean, hell, let's just go to Broadway. You've got businesses over there too that were affected. I mean, we're talking basically the central business district.
Well, is the West End considered the central business district?
It is not, but it's part of the construction zone.
Right, and I don't know, and this is a loose definition, but I guess I would consider the construction zone also would expand to where people are trapped on the street for 20 minutes.
But that's part of construction.
You're right.
Businesses are
It
still
is.
being affected.
I understand that, but I would challenge you to find any city across America that is doing this.
Well,
Because you won't
and,
find it.
and you know what, Tiffany? This is a great gesture. I really believe this is a good gesture. But what we're doing is we're drawing, we're splitting hairs here.
We are
Okay,
not. We're
there's
taking-
going to be businesses that are affected by this that are going to be left out of this, and not only retail businesses, but say if you rent property, market rate apartments, okay, and you've invested a lot in this city, okay, and you're affected by this infrastructure project. Are they gonna get $4,200 too? I mean,
It's right in there. It's written in there. It needs to be.
But it doesn't say anything about residential
Can you walk
businesses
in and
too.
buy something?
Well,
They're not part of the.
they're bringing people in to have them live there so they could go out and go to Kelly's and patron different businesses,
That's great.
and they're being affected.
But there's all those people are still in apartments. So how are they being affected? They're still getting their rental money.
If we're bringing up these other.
Not if they're losing people because of it. And I don't even see an application process of this. I mean, is there an application?
We're going to have an application. We can
Okay.
identify which businesses would fit in. So again.
So who's identifying which businesses? I mean, who identifies these businesses?
Central Business District.
What? Not if we're going to the West End, though.
We have a list that fit the criteria.
Okay.
Are professional services involved in that?
What,
We all West
so,
End. Yeah, you're right, West End.
like, what do you mean by, do you mean like hairdressing?
No, I mean,
Or do you mean like
Newtone from McDonald's.
Hairdressers, accountants,
So
attorneys?
again, can you walk in and buy something at a hairdresser? Yeah, you can buy something, they would be applicable. Can you walk into a lawyer's office and buy something? No, you book an appointment.
But if it, I mean,
Well, you can walk, I mean, like CPA?
yes, tax time. I mean,
No,
No?
that's not applicable.
Okay.
So how much money is in the economic development fund right now? About $450,000.
Yeah, I'm
What?
very,
Well, hang on. About 450,000.
$452,000.
Okay. Vice
But
Mayor.
again, that's for using, once this construction's done, to facilitate projects and initiatives downtown to encourage new businesses to come.
I agree with that. I respect that. But it doesn't matter if you lose businesses because of the construction. So I did some math here, and just to warn everyone, I teach music. So
That's math.
you might want to to 4. Real complicated 6, but you can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if at $4,250 times 50, that gets us to $212,500. We have $150,000 in ARPA funds. That would cost us $62,000, $62,500. We are already, based on the city manager's numbers, we're already committing ourselves to about $18,000 out of the economic development fund. So, not gonna try. Oh, I'm at minus 18 and not 18,000. Anyway,
Minus 36 then. Minus 36,000. I'll get you to your number.
oh well, okay. I'm not gonna do math. I don't need people to make
Math ain't math.
But
Tim's checking you over there.
Okay.
We're good.
so, we're gonna learn that Councilman Deans is not the math teacher in the family. That's my wife. So I'm just saying, we're already here, and we know that there are going to be more projects. We know that there's going to be more money coming into the economic development fund. We know that. I agree that in hopefully a couple months, everything's going to look great and it's going to be very inviting. And yes, we want to be able to have some money to do some incentives to get people to open up. But I guess I don't know if you look at it, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If we lose businesses that have been here because, they see this and they're just like, well, I was 30 feet away from being in this agreement and now I'm not, and you know what, I'm gonna go where the grass is greener.
You pay a higher rent.
Maybe.
But here's the thing. People said, fix up Clarksburg.
You're
and
right.
That's exactly what we started to do. Did people expect to get paid after we did this?
No.
So basically, there's going to be inconveniences. We apologize to the citizens, on a regular basis that they have to deal with this inconvenience of having the infrastructure in our city rebuilt. But you know what? This is for the people of our city. Every time we undergo a major project, are we going to go in pocket and say, okay, come on, line up. We got a pocket full of money that we're going to delve out. We don't have it like that. This is a one-time gesture, and if we keep expanding it out, then we're going to be sitting up here looking crazy because we're going to be in debt.
Councilman Jackson, I hear you. I would say that your description is of a minor inconvenience.
No, it's not a minor inconvenience because I drive through Clarksburg every single day, and down there on Sycamore where I live, that street has been blocked for the longest time, and I get blocked when I go home. I get blocked on the back way that I try to go home. I deal with these inconveniences just like everybody else. I make it a point to drive through town so that I can see just what the inconvenience is and how long people have to sit in traffic at 5 o'clock, because that's what time I get off of work. And I want to see, okay, how long are people sitting here in this traffic? Is it too long? Yeah, it's too long. But we have to take into consideration, yeah, it's construction, and everything isn't about us. We have to take a look at our children and our grandchildren. Let's start looking down the road at why are we actually doing this? Are we doing this just so, it's for us? What about our children and our grandchildren who won't have to go through this in about another 20 or 30 years?
I would hope longer than that, but
I'm hoping too, but I'm just giving it just a small number there.
I understand, but
I'm gonna circle back to what I mentioned earlier. It seems like we're getting too into it. We're going to end up picking winners and losers here, and I think that's a problem. If I may, I'm curious if we should just maybe move on from this and come up with just a different idea. Mention damage to your vehicle. Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we need to allow people in the city come up and file for some, if they've had damage to their vehicles, if they can prove it. I know you can do that with the state road. Why can't we do it? Then, if we can't make this work, we just need to invest it into infrastructure like ARPA was designed. We've already done this program. We have.
Okay.
$200,000 that we circulated to businesses around the city. They need to go look at what happened. So I'm not going to get into the weeds about that right now. So I think we just need to kind of maybe step back from this and maybe look at a different option. I'm sure $150,000 could be used in the sanitary board, the sanitary department, in public works, in anywhere. But recirculating out to winners and losers. I'm sorry. I'll be voting no.
I don't mind us continuing to have the conversation about where it may be warranted, in expanding the map a little bit. But I mean, we got to draw a line somewhere because we're going to be getting closer to doing nothing. Which not nothing, but in a different way. Like you're saying, like I worry about other paths. I think we have to do something. That's why I brought this idea up to Tiffany. That's why I think Brian also had the same idea.
We heard a really great idea for infrastructure at the beginning of this meeting.
What's that?
For the plugs at the Italian Heritage Festival we're talking about.
Oh, I've heard a million of great ideas.
Well, that's a perfect plan for ARPA money.
So,
I mean, I think we just need to revisit. Let's distribute it where it needs to be distributed. If we can come up with a better program that we're not saying we're going to define the boundaries here and define the boundaries here and all, sorry you missed out. I don't think we should be in that business. So.
I mean, I'm trying to help the people that were definitely impacted the most, that are right in the middle of it. Like Rokiski's and, our small businesses that have been shut down for days that don't have the ability to stay open. I understand we got to draw a line, and I know it's election season, which this line is probably very flexible. And that's the issue. But I think the line has to be drawn somewhere. I think I want to help the most as we can. If we want to talk about expanding a little bit, that's fine. But it's very dangerous. Talking about things like McDonald's and things like it just, I get it's a franchisee. They're not shutting down. And if they are, I'll give money out of my own pocket because I spend a lot of money at McDonald's already, in Wendy's, in Subway, in O'Reilly's. And we're going to be going to O'Reilly's here soon to fix our cars. So I think we got to be a little bit more cautious when we throw up things like that,
Don't
especially
forget,
if we don't know the numbers.
we got some vape shops too. We got to take care of them.
They're on my list.
They're good.
Well, I mean, I'm not being facetious about
I'm
it.
not
I just,
either. I'm telling you, I have a list
I
of
mean,
businesses.
I think, personally, I think the idea that McDonald's and other corporate franchises are being left out that's bad for business. I'm sorry. I mean, they were
You
affected.
can always reduce the amount and include them all.
You can reduce the amount, but the people that are going to be affected the most, and I can't go into the B&O exact numbers with council, but I've gone over them with Kim. The people who are affected the most are people who have retail shops that the public can just go into. So you're talking, what's the consignment shop downtown? A Looking Glass, Washington Square, Bluebird, Kelly's 2.0.
But Bluebird wouldn't get it.
They've been in business for 90 days.
It's just sold.
Change hands.
Yep.
They wouldn't get it.
Oh,
What about the car shop that would just open? How long have they been open up for?
Well, then I guess I don't know, but so like, I guess when we're talking about,
Yeah, but we didn't talk about it has to be the same owner. They just have to be, that store's not changing.
so if I open a store
yeah.
now, I'm eligible or not?
Is it already existing?
No.
So if I buy a store now, I'm eligible?
That was existing. It's still the same name. From my understanding, the Bluebird is staying the same. They're doing some updates. They would still qualify. It's been there since March 1st. It's still there on December 31st. They've been open for 90 days.
And that's why I think there should be an application process to this, because, there's probably other businesses that are out there.
And we will have to deliver those, yes.
Yeah, there are other businesses that are out there, whether they're retail, they're residential, they're commercial, whatever they are, that if they fill out an application, they could prove how they've been affected.
If I may, it does say that there's going to be an application process in the document.
Oh, okay, well, that's good. Well, thank you, Will, for clarifying that for me. So I just hope that, my thing is, I think you open it up to all businesses that were potentially affected. There's an application process. Someone can look over the application and determine whether or not they were affected or not,
So we can't afford to open it up to all businesses. That's the bottom line.
Then I think there's just going to be winners and losers on this, but that's okay. I mean, like I said, I like it. It's a great gesture. It's a good start, but I think there's going to be people left out of this, and that's what's sad about this whole thing.
If we start an application process, there's going to be winners and losers. There's going to be people denied. That's picking winners and losers.
Well,
maybe we shouldn't just be in that business area.
Well, I just don't like how this says retail. I can't.
But those are the ones who are affected the most.
I get it. I get they were affected the most.
And as soon as they close down, then you do lose foot traffic.
Okay, well, as soon as people don't move here to nice market rate apartments because they can't park anywhere and the construction, they're all going to move to Bridgeport. Where are you going to get your foot traffic at?
Which market rate apartments are you referring to, and where?
Well, we got a $20 million building over there that folks have the Gore that has.
Okay, and there's a parking garage 1 block over.
We voted down a parking lot further.
Yes, I did do that. Yeah. And I feel bad about that. But anyhow, we're not even talking about that. What we're talking about is how they were affected.
Gore 4 would be eligible for the grant.
Okay, but anyone who has over, has units across here that have lost people because of this wouldn't be affected?
I need you to give me an example of that.
I guess I need a clarification. There was discussion at the beginning, so you can go in and buy something. Can we do that at the Gore? Can you go in and buy products at the Gore?
a gift card. You can go in there and buy time to go.
No, that's Gore 4.
Gore 4.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood, sorry.
I don't play that stuff, but
That stuff,
whatever.
play that stuff.
Yeah, sports ball.
Sports ball.
Call that question, yeah, let's go.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Councilmember Deems?
Yes.
Councilmember Howe?
No.
Councilmember Hyman?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
Yes.
Councilmember Ward?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rickle?
Yes.
Mayor Malfitcher?
We'll give him a hug.
Yes.
Let's hug it out.
We can help some. Can somebody send out for dinner, please? Whose card is at the bottom?
I don't eat.
The mayor.
You don't eat.
I'm going to go.
Consideration of a resolution of the city of Clarksburg, West Virginia to enter into change order with supporting proposed legislation to authorize the collection of unpaid municipal bills, fines, fees, and other lawful charges through property tax bills and directing transmittal to the West Virginia Municipal League.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Consideration of a proposal to dedicate the entrance wall into East Point, New Point, and Emily Drive located on the city side in honor of James D. LaRosa.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. So I thought we already approved this, but what are we doing?
Well, we talked about it. We didn't approve anything. I did go to the Robinson Grand. There is a bust that's in a closet that is buried, and it's the back of the head, so I'm not sure if it's James D. I'm not sure if it's James D. or Papa James. So, but anyway, the entrance up at East Point, where the tiles are always falling off and stuff, we just like to put a sign up there to commemorate Mr. James D. LaRosa.
So are we approving a sign or we propose, I mean, like a budget, or are we just doing the idea and that's going to come back to us with what the rendering is going to be and the cost?
That, yes.
That?
I think we should bring it back, because that's
Yeah.
something that everybody's gonna see.
That's why I wanted
as
to
they drive
clarify.
up to Emily Drive.
Right.
I want to make sure I didn't have an open checkbook somewhere. Okay.
We know
All right.
we can check those.
Okay.
Can we do something about that bus?
Yeah, well,
So it's
they
not
were
the closet?
supposed to
Yeah.
dig it out,
Okay.
and, I haven't been back to the Robinson Grand.
Did they
and
find the front of the space?
Well, it was buried. It was clear in that little closet on the right hand
So I
side.
call the question.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Consideration of property located at 1116 North 24th Street.
Mr. Mayor, I do fully support this proposal, and I think it's what we kind of spoke about on December 18th, to acquire the property. So I'll move to acquire 1116th North 24th Street, to provide funding thereof to the LRA for such acquisition. And also, I think we direct the city manager to expedite an emergency demolition and close upon the property upon completion. And that dollar amount, I believe, should be $25,500.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
So we have spoken to their lawyers, and I don't want to publicly speak about the agreement that we've come to, so I request council goes to executive session.
My motion's on the table. So I've spoken to the owners, but that's my motion.
Has the proposal changed from what
Yes.
significantly?
It could be. And we came to a potential agreement, but there's been a couple of things that have changed that, because we haven't fully signed, I'm not comfortable saying it in public, especially the couplets aren't here. But I think.
I'd recommend we not say it in public, but I'd still
I do think council
stand
needs
on my
to
motion.
understand it.
We have a motion and a second.
So we can't, already too far along to go into executive session? We can make a motion to go to executive session still? Richard?
You're in discussion now, you can go to executive session whenever you want.
Okay, so
But there's a motion on the,
We're currently discussing that.
Okay.
We still gonna make a motion to executive session then. I don't have to read it, but I'll make the motion. I make a motion pursuant to Chapter 6, Article 9A, Section 4 of West Virginia Code. I move the council adjourn to executive session, discuss matters involving the purchase, sale, or leasing of property, advanced construction planning, and investment of public funds, or other matters involving competition which, if made public, might adversely affect the financial or other interests of the city, and the following persons be present: mayor, members of council, city manager, city attorney, city clerk, and reserve the right to invite anybody else back. I'm getting good at that. We say this a lot.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
No.
Councilmember Deans?
Yes.
Councilmember Howe?
No.
Councilmember Hine?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
Yes.
Councilmember Ward?
No.
Vice Mayor Ripple?
Yes.
Mayor Malpagen?
Yes.
come out of executive session.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Amendment.
Somebody want to make a motion, Mr. Howe?
Or amend.
Or amend,
That
please?
amount.
That amount?
If I may, I believe he probably has to rescind that motion that he made initially, so we can make another one, or maybe he could amend the motion he put out. I don't know.
I'll hesitantly remove my motion, rescind it. That's a motion, rescind.
Okay. I guess I'll second that.
That's just to
The rescind.
rescind. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Want to make a new one?
Please.
You want me?
Sure, why not?
What's the number?
26.5.
27.
I move we provide the LRA 28,000 to give to, or 27 to give to the LRA to purchase the property.
Second. You have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Is there any no's?
I didn't hear any.
Beg your pardon?
I didn't hear any no's.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear.
Councilmember Dees?
Yes.
Councilmember Howe?
Yes.
Councilmember Hyman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson?
No.
Councilmember Worth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Richter?
Yes.
Mayor Malkin?
Yes.
Council comments?
Mr. Deans,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
start the clock. Everybody gets 3 minutes tonight.
3 minutes? All right.
These folks want to, I hear your stomachs growl and clear up.
Hey, you're not taking my 3 minutes out of this. All right. You saw government at work tonight. This is the way it should be. These are the discussions that should happen. I respect everyone up here and your opinions, even when I don't agree. But thank you for a good discussion tonight. I'm going to challenge my council members, my fellow council members. At the last work session, I've heard it over and over again that we need to take care of our youth. I 100% agree. If you don't know, I teach middle school. I'm around teenagers all day, and they're the future of our city. I felt like when I lived here or when I grew up here as a kid, that the community took care of me. There were things for me to do. I feel like some of those things have gone by the wayside. As we're going into the budget season, let's put our money where our mouth is. If you're going to say, let's do stuff for our kids, then by golly, let's do it. Let's put it in the budget. And I'm just going to say, I don't think the adventure park fits all of our needs. If that's where we come down, that's where we come down. It's not enough. If we're going to say we're doing the adventure park, we're taking care of our kids, no, that is not good enough. There are kids who have all kinds of talents. There are kids who need all kinds of programs rather than, playing on a jungle gym or riding their bike or I don't know. There are lots of ways that we can explore how to support our kids, and I want to do that, and I challenge you to make that decision as we go into budget season. Again, housing is incredibly complicated. Density is important, but when we look at other places, we have to consider that they have public transportation and we have to park our cars. I think as I told Marissa before I went to executive session, I think that there are places, and she told me of the west side of Charleston, that are doing this kind of work. They're taking care of their community, and they have all parties at the table. I also admitted that maybe we hit this, we approached this problem with a hammer and not a scalpel. However, the conversation has started, and now we can work through this process because we can't afford to waste any more time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hammond?
Appreciate everybody's comments tonight, coming out and speaking for or against these crucial decisions that we have to make up here, and appreciate Marcia and coming up and telling us about her issues with the electric out there, and hopefully we can take care of that with some of the money we have left over in our ARPA funds. It's supposed to be really, really cold. It's Monday. I think I saw a low of 5. Watch those pipes, make sure they don't freeze, and have a great weekend. We'll do it again in February.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jackson?
Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening. I would like to piggyback off what Councilman Dean said. This is how government's supposed to work. We're supposed to have debate. We're supposed to have discussion about these things. We work for the people, but it works even better when we work with the people. When you all are coming in and you're actually sharing with us, it provides a big help to us. I think, as Mr. Dean said, if we approached it with a hammer, at least we approached it, and that's the thing. We can't just keep turning a blind eye to things that are going on in our city and keep saying, we want to make the city better. We want to make we have to make the hard decisions. That's why we were elected, to make these hard decisions. You know what? It's not going to make us popular all the time. It's not a popularity contest. So, we have to do what we have to do to move our city forward. I thank everyone for coming out again this evening. And, as we come up on the Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday, I encourage everyone to go out and celebrate the hard work that man put in for civil rights for all of us. Thank you.
Mr. Ward?
Yes, try to make this quick too. Happy to hear that the 2 fire trucks are coming soon. That's pretty exciting news because we spent $3 million on 3 of them, I believe. The one thing I will ask, the city manager, is the social worker and the peers, could they, are they out like in the community, like if they have downtime, are they checking under bridges? They doing any kind of street outreach or anything? Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad that they got some West Virginia First Foundation money too. Could you? I got a report that there's people living occasionally, probably not when it's cold out here like this, but under the Montpelier Bridge. Maybe you could send the social worker, the peers out there to see if they need any help or anything. And also too, can we see if we can get like just periodically have an officer, police officer, patrol Locust Avenue near Gandy there. Apparently there's a stop sign there, and I saw this video of this lady, and I must have counted 3 or 4 cars in a row just bust right through it. So either do that or just take the stop sign down if it's not right. It's not of use anymore. Let me see here. The other thing is, it looks like that the lease agreement for the parking lot over here beside City Hall.
It'll be on the agenda in February.
It'll be on the agenda in February. Yeah.
That option to purchase.
Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, I wasn't on council when it became effective, but $3,000 a month.
Yeah, we put so much money into that piece that we need to obtain that and keep that as a city asset.
Okay, so are we utilizing it pretty well too, or?
Yes, it's full every day.
It's full every day. Okay,
yeah, and that's that new police vehicle police on the back. That's where it's going to be parked, so the police have easy access to it.
Man, that's good. That's good. The other thing too, I supported the I guess the construction impact business grant program. I don't particularly like how, I think folks were left out of it. But at the end of the day, if we're going to help some folks, I think it's worth it to have been affected by this. But I think in the future, if we ever have a program like this again, I would request to at least have a work session about it. Because we spent damn near an hour just on a resolution, and we had to make a decision right there. I think if we had a work session, we could talk talk some of these things out and everybody put their ideas in, we could have came up with a better resolution, and we didn't have to feel like that, we had a gun to our head just to say yay or nay. I do like the spirited discussion that we had about it, like Councilmember Jackson and Councilmember Dean said. I mean, that's how government works. Sometimes we agree on things, sometimes we disagree on things, but that's part of the process. Other than that, my only other request is, can you get the CVB director to come in here and give us a report on what's going on at the next meeting or something?
In what way?
Just give us an update.
Yes, I
I just heard some things. I guess there's two sides to every story, but, I just want an update, that's all. That's all I have. Thank you guys for coming out and expressing.
Mr. Howe?
Thank you, Mayor. If we could just get a status update, you can just send an email out. I think it was back in December. I know we had the holidays and stuff about the B&O tax information that we requested for the downtown. So I think, sooner we can start looking at those numbers for the downtown district, or wherever the parameters were that we set to look at. I think, that could make a very dramatic impact to the current businesses that have been putting up with all the construction throughout. So I think that's something we really need to look at going forward. So if we can just get an update on that, or just send an email out where we're at with that, that'd be helpful. And just a reminder to put the FOIA request in the manager's report so we can see those.
into a chart for council, and we'll have them on the next one.
What is it?
We're gonna put into a chart for council.
I don't need it pretty, but that's fine.
Okay.
All right. And then following up with Councilman's worst comment, I too would want an update from the CVB. I would say first meeting in February. In the past, the CVB directors would just come, I think once a year. They're supposed to give us an annual report anyways, here in person. But, and I personally would like to know who's on the board over there. I think I've lost contact with who the board members are or who they were. So maybe we get, I don't know if we have a list of those, but what the last 3 years, what the board members were by year, that'd be helpful. And then who the board members are. Yeah. And then did the CVB relocate?
Yeah, I don't know if she's finished moving, but the board voted for the CVB to move into the bottom of the Goldilocks.
Okay, so they're in the process of moving in.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And then actually I had on my notes as well, I think Councilman Worth mentioned it, but how did that stop sign appear on Locust Avenue? Because I mean,
that's a great question, and I will find out.
I would recommend removing it
I
because
would assume they put it there because people were detouring up Gandy, and I don't know who put it
Yeah,
there,
that's
and I don't know
what-
when, but I would assume that's why.
Well, that's
But
the problem.
you know what happens when you assume.
People were complaining about speeding, because of the construction, everybody was taking notice. Really wasn't a speeding issue, and they wanted speed humps put in, which we can't do. So, temper to try to smooth things over, they put a stop sign on Lotus at the top of Gandy. I've monitored the stop sign, yeah, people do run it once in a while, but it's nothing that I can set a policeman down there for hours at a time watching that one stop sign. Speeding is not an issue, but a speed trailer down there, it showed there was no issues. My suggestion is you take it down or you put it on Gandy coming up.
I'd just put it on Gandy would be my recommendation. I appreciate that. No one uses Gandy. And they're detouring through the vacant lot, ripping the hell out of it.
Problem solved.
There you go. Yes, yes. All right. So what is the status of because I think I'm confused, on the change order approved in 12/18, the council meeting? So did we add those two properties? I think you gave me the information. I have it. So those two were added, correct? And the other ones that were on there, are we bidding them now, or what are we going to do?
We're bidding the 9.
The 9.
Yeah.
But those are the ones we were also going to award at the time to Empire.
Yes, so the DLAP program gave us a 6-month extension, so we're going to bid those out. And it's looking like we might have some grant funding left over, so we may be able to add a few more houses on there. The
BG.
thank you, grant that we just were made aware of, we are going to be putting, how many houses, Jason?
We're gonna attempt to get about 40 houses added into that grant and attempt to get approval for 40 to 50 houses.
Another 40, and that submission is in March. So all together, those programs are great. The CBDG one requires, you get higher marks if you put a match with it. So we're gonna suggest $150,000 in the budget, because would be very helpful for us to get that grant money. That's not money from the city. So that's how both those grants are working.
Okay, so we're going to be up to bid soon then on the ones for the
Yes.
for the DEPs.
Yes, Stantec's working on it right now. We told them we have a deadline in July, so we want to make sure we meet that deadline.
Do we need to rescind on our agenda what we did to the ones that we awarded?
Richard, do we need to rescind those?
Because otherwise, they're of record that we awarded it, and I think we should rescind those.
We can put it up. Okay.
And just to make council aware, there's going to be more than just this group of 9 houses being bid for advertisement.
Yeah, as long as we do it properly, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Oh, the splash pad. Where are we at with that?
So it is gone out to a request for bids to come back. They've come in, we've ranked them. We came up with the successful company that's gonna design it, and then it goes out to build.
So this is, wait a minute. So
Did I explain that properly?
No, the city,
No.
so the city did a request for proposals for engineering?
Yes.
Okay,
Because
all
that's
right.
a requirement
Right.
of the grant funding.
Yes.
The only question I have, and I did call Philip Avis today, was if someone is on the source well, can we use them in lieu of that? And we haven't heard back from them yet. Because it's already been bid by the state.
Right. I would also, did you say that those proposals already started coming back in?
We already ranked them and
You
everything.
already ranked them, you already interviewed
According to the regulations that they gave us.
Okay. All right. I just think that we still need to have, I mean, the consensus of the councils to continue to move forward with that, but I think we probably should really look at what we're going to do there and have a good plan in place, on that property. I don't know if the park board approved the use of that property.
They did, there's a resolution
They
approving it.
They did, okay, all right. So I think we just need to be conscientious of that.
We can provide council updates all along the way.
Yeah.
The proposal that it looks like we're going to accept for the engineer, construction begins in May.
Okay. So the completion would be,
It's generally 3 to 4 months after that.
so it'll be open this summer?
That's my hope, if construction's on time, but we'll see. I'm not making any promises that everything's gonna be done on time.
Again, I going back to Dean's, and I think Vice Mayor Riffle, I think, talking about kids, things to do, and the why, and the issues we continue to run into there, funding and possible plan, adventure park, whatever it's going to be. The total amount of funds we have available based upon that grant versus the match and the overall total cost of that project, I really firmly believe it's going to be a lot more than what we're going to have. But I think we need to really be careful. I have no negativity against go ahead and retain an engineer to keep the project moving, but I think at some point we need to really look and see if this is going to be a viable project based upon the needs and based upon the other needs we have at the Y. So, and only so many funds available out there. So I guess I too will challenge everybody if they want to do these projects. We need to make sure we have funds in place and knowing that future projects of how we're going to fund those, which brings me to another point of a 5-year capital improvement levy that's coming up for vote this year. That'll be on the ballot. I think we need to be very, very conscientious of that. We need a grassroots campaign out there to promote that, and we got to make sure that we're, reiterating what we're doing with those and emphasizing what we're doing with those funds to the public. The paving, milling, parks, demolitions, everything that's included in that. Yes, but we need to make sure that we're really promoting what we've done and what we're going to continue to do.
Is that something you would like us to do through our communications department in the city?
Well, we have to be very careful on how you do that, because the city cannot be outwardly promoting the levy and using public funds to do so. So we can promote what we've done, but I think we need to look more into that, how to do it. But from a grassroots campaign, we need a committee, people to get out there of the public who support the actual levy itself to get out there and vote. Because I'll just remind everybody, there's another levy on the ballot coming up, and that's going to be the county's vital service levy. So as confusing as this is going to be, having a county, your ballot, and then you go through and vote for or against the vital service levy, and then you're coming down to now a municipal ballot, you're going to be voting on another levy. So the confusion is going to be there for people when they're voting on that. I just voted for one, there's going to be confusion. So I think we just really need to make sure people understand there's multiple levies out there. So
Perhaps a resolution by council supporting or supporting.
yes.
Yeah.
Resolution to support it. We'll look into that.
We'll get back to you, Councilmember Hyde.
I think that's all I have. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate everybody's comments, and 2-hour delay tomorrow.
Already?
Yeah.
Glad to bring you the news.
I get to sleep in a little bit.
Sleep in, Councilman Deans.
Yes, very excited. Although I was up at 6 o'clock this morning anyway.
You earned it.
Mr. Ripple.
Already had comments down here to praise Councilman Deems before he made his comment about the youth. So I appreciate your words. I appreciate the challenge. I appreciate the follow-up. Councilman Howe also mentioned the youth. I talk about it a lot. Those that are running and potentially on council, hopefully they also follow with youth, but I'm confident the group that's out there that's running will be a group that would be in favor of that. So I appreciate your words, Councilman Deems. Another thing that he mentioned and the way he laid it out, I was also impressed by his use of the calculator too. And I appreciate him backing him up over there, because I saw her on her own calculator. So I knew there was going to be some good results out of that. But I think the layout of the timeline of the government was laid out exactly the way it is. Frustratingly, it frustrates me a lot. Just the idea of talking about something now that may not even happen until April. When we've had time, we've had a work session on 2 things that came up tonight. We had this work session on the items for the zoning, and we had a work session on the landlord. And I'm not putting this on the community, so I appreciate those that came out and spoke with it. But I think we've had plenty of time to be more prepared for that discussion. We've had plenty of time to discuss it. We had plenty of time to do that night. We didn't do it. So I'm disappointed how that went. I'm in favor of the roundtable. I'm in favor of it if we can set that up immediately. I want to continue this. We need to get to work. I don't want to keep pushing things along, so I want to have that roundtable. And I'm not worried about the people, because you'll know who'll show up. Those that are maybe probably not in compliant, they weren't coming here to speak tonight. They don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to come to City Hall. They won't come to City Hall to get permits. They don't come to City Hall to have a discussion on us doing it right. So I think that roundtable, or however we figure that out, that's, opening it to the public, I'm in favor of that. It's gonna be a long, big roundtable, but I think the people that will show up and have that conversation are the ones that are wanting to do it right already. So I don't have any doubts that. And those that aren't doing it right, their comments won't be fruitful, but I think it'll also be obvious that what they're trying to accomplish, which is take advantage of the city, be bad business owners and still profit off the people, not giving people viable homes to where they want to better themselves. You go home to a bad apartment or a bad house with no, you're not going to want to be better tomorrow. You're going to just live in that. And we got to do better as a city to monitor that, to protect our citizens, to protect those that are doing it right, the business owners that are doing it right. And so I think, and I don't disagree with Councilman Hyman, the things that he said. We also have to focus on, giving more economic, chances for our citizens, bringing more jobs here, because I think that is also the other side of that. We don't raise the minimum incomes around here. We'll always be fighting the same problems. But I think we can do both at the same time. I think it's our jobs to do both at the same time. I think it's our jobs to try things and fail and then try to fix it. I know that's sometimes frustrating for some, but doing nothing, is just doing nothing. So I appreciate the city manager putting this together. I think as council members, we need to be more on top of these and ahead of this instead of just having, I appreciate the conversation up here in the debate. But we got to be more ready for that conversation. We got to be more ready instead of just trying to figure things out at the last second. We got to do better reaching out to the citizens. And so that's my challenge. I guess we're all challenging people, and that's my challenge. We get things on agenda items on Monday. We have time to ask questions. We have time to be better prepared for tonight. So I challenge council to do that. Yeah, so good discussions tonight, but I think we can do better. And I think that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. See something, say something, pick up the phone and dial 911. I concur with everything that was said by the council tonight. Also, Monday's a holiday. Take time to reflect on what Dr. King accomplished. I wanted to say that out of these 5 or 6 people that have filed to run for council, we have one candidate in the gallery. Thank you, sir. That shows that you got interest, and that's a good thing. Other than that, I just got a text message from my son. It's 18 inches of snow in Cleveland today. Don't be upset over that little dusting that we had this morning, but it's going to get cold Monday night. It's supposed to be like 4 or 5, so everybody take precautions, open your cabinet doors. Nothing worse than having a pipe burst. Other than that, thank you all for coming out. Have a good weekend.
Who's adjourned?
Second.
We are adjourned.